precious. There is something about your love that makes me just wanna open up. Your flavor is the sweetest thing in life. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. I want you and I know that you want me, so let's stay close like we supposed to be. Just get high off our own supply. I'm addicted to your chocolate high.
I be tripping in so many ways. If I go a single day without a taste of your love, the finest cuisine of today's world. 5 stars, yo, you're so gourmet, girl.
I crave you, I want you. Every cell in my body needs you. Tasty like Hershey's and Nestle. You're rich like a diver. Boy, you're just so sexy. There is something about your love that makes me just wanna open up. Your flavor is the sweetest thing in life. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. I want you and I know that you want me, so let's stay close like we supposed to be. Just get high off our own supply. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. Your flavor is the sweetest thing in life, and I don't ever wanna come down. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. Oh, there is something about your love that makes me just wanna open up. Flavor is the sweetest thing in life. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. I want you and I know that you want me. Let's stay close like we supposed to be. Just get high off our own supply. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. Oh, there is something about your love that makes me just wanna open up. It's the sweetest thing in life. I'm addicted to your chocolate high. I want you and I know that you want me, so let's stay close like we're supposed to be. Just get high off our own supply. To your chocolate high. There's just something about your love that makes me just wanna open up. It's the sweetest thing in life. I'm addicted to your chocolate high.
It is India Ari coming through with a chocolate high on this one. Beautiful song featuring Music Soul Child coming out from her 2009, I think, album. And it just goes down. It's just one of those songs that is so iconically India Ari. That is how we open up the show this afternoon. I hope that you've had a great day thus far. It is Wednesday as we kick off this side to slightly cooler weather in Gauteng. And hopefully you're experiencing a much the same in whichever corner of the country you are at. There's those that prefer the cooler weather. There's those that prefer the hotter weather. But as we get closer and closer to cooler seasons, I think this is most welcome. We only pray that at some point it brings with it the rain, particularly in the Gauteng region. It's been so dry around here. I got the opportunity over the Easter weekend to pop into Mpumalanga, and they had some good rain during the course of the weekend. In fact, they're just beautifully green. They stay beautifully green. So hopefully we can see some rains hitting our side as well at some point. We've got a jam-packed show for you today. We are going to be catching up with an educationalist and researcher, and we're looking at rural schools in South Africa. And there's, part of her research also shows, or his research also shows that rural schools in South Africa are very much capable of producing good results, even with the failing infrastructure and the lack of resource and the lack of support
Email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.6 FM in Mangaung. First in the morning, SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes.
We've heard about cases like this before. What happened in this case?
We were taken aback by the organization when we learned from the statement released by the department, but subsequent to that, the TV program wherein there were allegations of setting of posts immediately with suspension, proportional suspension of a school principal and a circuit manager in the chain circuit around Dr. Kenneth Town, the district in the Northwest Province.
Do you believe this is happening regularly in Northwest?
Look, we cannot necessarily confirm that for now. However, we can equally not take these allegations for granted, because you will know that in some years back there's always been some newspaper reports around this particular incidents.
George Temba, thank you. Provincial Secretary for the South African Democratic Teachers Union in Northwest.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
It's just gone 2:45 on the Full Circle. It's time for us to get into Kids Corner, and then we'll come back on the other side of that.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorraine Moyo and I am turning 12 this year. The time I usually wake up during the school holidays is around 10, 11, even 9, sometimes even 12. If you do, then your body will just become nasty. You will smell horrible when you get to school, and everyone will be staying away from you. So I think it's very good to maintain good hygiene. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you. Thank you. Bye.
My name is Bonara Madi. I'm 12 years old. I do enjoy taking a shower because it's faster than a bath. A bath, I have to wait until the water is fine and takes minutes. When I finish bathing, I will need to spend another time cleaning the bathtub. In a shower, I just need to open the water, then shower. It takes not even minutes to open the water in the shower like in the bathtub. Taking a shower is important for my hygiene because if I don't shower, I smell bad. The longest I've gone without taking a shower is 3 days because I was just too lazy sometimes and I forgot.
My name is Zamongas, my surname is Mayana, and I'm 10 years old. Yes, I always take a bath. The reason I take a bath is for me to be clean. If I don't take a bath, I will be stinking horrible, and I don't want that to happen. You must always take a bath, and it is very important for our hygiene. The reason I take a bath instead of a shower, it is because in a shower, you are always running water, and you don't know how much water you are running. And in a bath, you can see how much water you are using. So a bath is better for me.
Good day, parents. My name is Kapramba. My name is Danabo, and I am 12 years old. I wake up at 8 o'clock. Yes, I have changed something in my routine. Yes, because if they don't take care of themselves, they're going to get sick. Thank you for listening.
My name is Katlano Nyanen. I usually wake up between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. The only thing I've changed in my routine ever since school's closed is the time I sleep. Because usually I sleep at 9 or 10. Now I find myself sleeping in the AMs. I still do wash my body twice a day and brush my teeth twice a day. That hasn't changed. And school's closing shouldn't be an excuse for someone not to take care of themselves. Even though you're at home, at least try to shower once or twice a day and brush your teeth once or twice a day.
Hi, my name is Valencia Ngumezulu. Hygiene is something keeping yourself clean and away from diseases. What are some of the things that I feel are unhygienic that I see other people do? Not brushing their teeth twice a day, not bathing at least twice a day, not brushing their teeth before they eat and after they eat. What would I like to see people do to avoid that? I would like to see people brush their teeth straight when they wake up, brush their teeth after dinner, bath at night and in the morning. Why do I think being hygienic is important to children? Because if you're not in the condition of hygiene, your body might be dirty and unhealthy and all that, and you might get diseases. Well, as I said before, your body can be dirty, your body might not be clean, and some things will not work. You might be sick, stuff like that.
Hello friends, I hope you're having a blast during your school holidays. School break can be really fun, but just because you're not going to school, it doesn't mean you should forget about staying clean and healthy. Hygiene is important all the time, not only because you have somewhere to go. By practicing good hygiene habits during your school holiday, you can help keep yourself and others safe from germs. So how can you maintain good hygiene during your school holiday? It's simple. Make sure to wash your body twice a day without fail. Also remember to wash your hands regularly, especially before and after meals, after playing outside, and after using the bathroom. Also, remember to wash your hands regularly, especially before and after meals, after playing outside, and after using the bathroom. Don't forget to brush your teeth twice a day to keep them
As we chase the top of the hour, we thought we'd dip into a little bit of, I guess, a celebratory spirit that's hitting West and East Africa at the moment. This week, Africa saw yet another young politician that was elected into the presidential office, with Senegal's Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who is just 44 years of age and officially becoming Senegal's president, and he succeeds former President Macky Sall, who was the country's president for 12 years. And of course, during his acceptance, Faye immediately promised to unite the continent and, of course, to put his country back on the right track. And we thought we'll catch up with the folks at SABC News and get just a general sense of the feeling and the environment on the ground amongst the Senegalese citizens. And this makes, by the way, Bassirou Diomaye Faye the second youngest president on the continent after Burkina Faso's, who's just around 36, 37 years of age.
Bassirou Diomaye Faye has been sworn in as president of Senegal to become Africa's youngest elected leader. Earlier this month, Faye won the delayed election, securing 54% of the vote ahead of his main challenger, Amadou Ba. For more on Faye's election and inauguration, we're now joined by our correspondent Ahmed Rufai Nabil. Ahmed, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Just talk to us about this ceremony today. Of course, what makes this even more interesting is that this is the youngest president, to be taken into office.
Indeed, Bassirou Faye is Africa's youngest president to go into office. So there is a lot of excitement about this. And we know that before even Senegal had this crucial election, there was a lot of disturbances within the country. But then efforts to even postpone the elections also heralded a lot of protests among opposition groups and all that. But then today, indeed, everything has been climaxed with the inauguration of Bassirou Faye as Senegal's next leader, and there is a lot that is expected from him. We know that within the West African sub-region, at least 12 leaders from the West African region attended the inauguration. We can talk about the chairman of the ECOWAS and also the president of Nigeria, that's Tinubu, was present, and also even Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, was also present at the inauguration ceremony. So it goes to say that the West African bloc is rallying support for Bassirou Faye, and they would want to help him to succeed in his tenure in office. We must say that it's not going to be an easy ride, though, because there's been concerns that Bassirou Faye does not have a lot of political experience, but then only time will tell as to how his leadership would be now that he's been sworn in as the president. And the countdown to his 100 days in office has actually just begun.
I mean, what also makes it, even more remarkable and interesting is that, this is a man who went from prisoner, to president in just 20 days. You talk a little bit about his track record, but perhaps just talk to us about what the people of Senegal are hoping from him. I know that a lot of them, of course, are very excited to have a new leadership in the fray. Just talk to us about what the expectations on the ground are, and of course, as we delve into his own track record.
Well, you know that rightly, as you said, that he was in prison. He came out of prison and then won this election. His political mentor, that's Sonko, who was actually supposed to have contested for this position, was barred from the election because he was convicted of some crimes. So he actually rallied support for Bassirou Faye to really win this election. So we know that Sonko would also be guiding him through the whole process. But on the ground, Sonko himself, who is also a very young leader, gets support from a lot of young population within Senegal, and also now that has been transferred to Bassirou Faye. So a lot of young people are looking forward to a good leadership from one of their own, because just at the age of 44 years becoming president, that's quite a huge feat. So a lot is expected from him by the teeming youth. One of the key things that they would want him to do is to create jobs for them, because unemployment among young people in Senegal is very high, and it's one of the concerns that they've had against the previous government that's led by Macky Sall. They felt that Macky Sall was not able to create a lot of jobs for them. So they are looking forward to Bassirou Faye creating jobs for them and also tackling the rising cost of living currently in Senegal. That has also been a major decider for this particular election. So these are the two critical things that the young people would want Bassirou Faye to tackle in his first days in office, to bring down the cost of living and also start creating jobs for them.
All right, Ahmed, thank you so much for that update.
And that was, of course, a sense and a feel of what the environment is like with the citizens on the ground in Senegal on the back of the successful election of the fifth and current president, Basiru Diomaye Faye, who is just 44 years old. And this reminds me of a time when I happened to be in Dhaka a couple of years ago and heard about all the incredible alternative and innovative ways that they got their youth engaged within the process of politics and elections, because a few years ago they were where we are right now, with youth apathy and youth really not engaged and participating when it came to the political landscape of the country. And there was all kinds of interesting ways that were explored in order to bring them into the conversation. And I wonder if this, or rather what was plowed 4 or 5 years ago, is now yielding the results now with President Faye taking to office. Just a thought as we come up to 2 o'clock with Ann Musa and the news.
Thanks, Bridget. In our top stories, MK party member appears in court and SANDF denies soldiers surrendered to rebels. Good afternoon. Mkhonto weSizwe member Visvin Reddy has appeared in the Chatsworth Magistrates Court in Durban on charges of inciting public violence. It's alleged Reddy made inflammatory remarks during a party rally last month. He is said to have alluded to a second riot should the party not be allowed to contest the upcoming general elections. Spokesperson for the NPA in KwaZulu-Natal, Natasha Ramkison-Kara.
Reddy appeared on a charge of contravening Section 17 of the Riotous Assemblies Act, where he's alleged to have incited public violence. He appeared on summons, and the matter was transferred to the Durban Regional Court for the next court appearance on the 14th of June 2024.
Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services has formally adopted a report on the termination of the process of appointing a new Deputy Public Protector. The report will now be submitted to the National Assembly for final approval. The decision arose from legal advice that EFF member of the committee, Pusiswe Mkhwebane, had a conflict of interest because of her relationship with two of the candidates. The report was adopted despite the objection of the DA that wanted the report to reflect it was the party that raised the issue of Mkhwebane compromising the process. The committee chairperson Bulelani Magwanishe had to intervene to break the stalemate.
Because voting is a deadlock-breaking mechanism, so there is no need to re-argue the point. Because people have got a right to argue and make their points heard before the debate, before the voting. When we proceed in that way, that we will debate issues, and then once we come to a situation where we don't agree, and then we have to go for voting, that must end the matter.
The South African Institute of Tax says the fact that the South African Revenue Service has exceeded its provisional revenue target by almost 10 billion rand is good news for the country. SARS revealed this when it announced the country's preliminary revenue outcome for the 2023-2024 financial year. Exceeding its revenue target means that more people are taxpayer compliant. The Institute's CEO, Professor Keith Engelt, says although this promotes fairness among taxpayers, SARS has to fight against corrupt people.
Is you try to get a bunch of high-profile cases. The other people who are not so good at this, they start to come forward. But then there's still the effort where you find the hardcore corrupt. Those people fight you tooth and nail. You can see them, but then getting them to court and getting them prosecuted, that's a very hard job.
The defence in the killing of the College Chabane Municipal Mayor Moses Maluleke has made an application for 2 of the 5 accused to be discharged. They allegedly gunned down Maluleke at his home in Shikundu village outside Malamulele in July 2022. Advocate Amukilani Baloyi made an application for the court to withdraw charges against Baloyi and Mudau, saying there was insufficient evidence linking them with the killing.
There is no evidence on the table, especially with regard to the nature of evidence presented. There is no evidence that accused number 4 committed the offence which he may be convicted of. Now I'm moving my lady to accused number 3, Mr. Munda. He is also facing the similar charges as accused number 4, and the evidence led is 5 witnesses and also a confession. The state witnesses did not give any evidence.
The South African National Defence Force, the SANDF, has denied reports that 2 South African soldiers deployed to the Democratic Republic of Congo have surrendered to the M23 rebels. The SANDF says all its members deployed in the DRC under the SADC mission have been accounted for. In February this year, 2 South African soldiers were killed when the military base was attacked. The SANDF spokesperson, Sipiwe Dlamini, says they will always inform the public on the safety and deployment of the country's soldiers.
The convoluted article published by Faceless Washington correspondent is dismissed with the contempt it deserves. This is not the first time such unfounded and baseless articles have been written about the SANDF since its deployment in the DRC under Summit DRC. The SANDF views such attempts to discredit the Defence Force in the most serious light by faceless people and will not stand by and allow its good name to be tarnished.
Recapping the top story, Mkhonto Wesizwe member Visvan Reddy has appeared in the Chatsworth Magistrates Court in Durban on charges of inciting public violence. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
Ondikhalisa ubusuku bonke liyozo luthando luphele nini ndizihlukumezisa ngawe indlela endihambileyo ndiyabona utikiwe ndini endigqithileyo ndifuna ubona ubuso bakho ndihlala ndikucinga
It is Amufaku coming through with Indelendlela. This song is just, a half a beat too short. Just as you're getting into it, just as you're getting ready to belt it out in the car or in the kitchen or the lounge, wherever you may be right now, or even just secretly sort of trying not to be audible in the office space, it just comes to an end. But perhaps, shorter is sweeter at times. That was Amifaku with Indelendlela. That is how we kick off 2 o'clock. It's 10 past 2 in accordance to my watch as we get into a conversation about money. And I wonder, as we prepare to have this conversation with a husband and wife duo, talking around all is fair in love and finance. Is it really all fair in love and finance? I wonder from yourself, how comfortable are you in, you and your partner in talking about money? How comfortable are you with your partner talking about money? Like, do you guys sit and discuss money? Do you sit and discuss each other's salaries, each other's pay slips, each other's spending habits? Or is it a contentious conversation within your household that might cause more problems and harm than it does good, and so you let sleeping dogs lie and you don't really talk about it? I really want to know. I honestly want to know, how comfortable are you in talking about money? Because I get the sinking suspicion that quite a few people are really uncomfortable in talking about money in the romantic relationship setting, whether you are dating or married or life partners or cohabitating. 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. That's our phone line, or 061 410 4107. I'm going to come back on the other side of this and introduce our guest.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are talking all is fair in love and finance with a husband and wife duo, Danielle and Jean-Pierre Steenvaart. And of course, like we allude, money can be a cause of much conflict in relationships. In fact, it's one of the main reasons that couples split up the world over. And to avoid challenges that come with money matters, it's probably important for couples to align specifically on the finances, and to try and find that alignment's an area of common understanding early on in their relationships. And as part of the momentum science of success to influencer couple Danielle and her husband Jean-Pierre Steenvaart gave insights and some tools as to how couples can work together to avoid financial conflict and maybe even propel you to a place of success. And as we engage this conversation, the question is out there for you: how comfortable are you and your partner in talking about money? 086 000 2032, 061 410 4107. Good afternoon, Danielle and Jean-Pierre. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Bridget. Thank you so much for having us on your show. We're so excited to chat to you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Bridget.
Thank you. I appreciate the time with you guys today. And hopefully we're going to get some real life insights and some tools as to how we can navigate this often very tricky landmine-filled conversation in relationships. And maybe let me start by asking you guys, when you dated, when you got together, and I don't know how soon Jean-Pierre realized that this is the woman that he wanted to give his surname to for the rest of his life. But how comfortable were you guys talking about money at the dating phase of your relationship?
I think this is the funniest question because we dated. JP was my brother's best friend, but I never knew him. And so eventually when we met, he knew me very well, but I didn't really know him. And I was a real spender, especially as a youngster just getting out of varsity, you don't really know what it means to make money or to work with money. So I was just spending like crazy. And so when we met, he really just wanted to impress me. So I was spending his money like crazy. And this guy was so nervous because obviously I had no idea what was going on in his finances. And we never spoke about it. We honestly only started speaking about it like 3 years into our marriage, right, James?
Yeah, I would say 3 months, 3 years into our marriage. So look, coming back to your initial question, so yeah, it was really, really quick.
Yeah.
I still to this day, I just wished I spoke openly and honestly about my finances to Daniil back in the day. It would have stopped so many fights and but initially you guys are so you're in love, and I could have told her anything and it would have been okay.
It would have.
Really,
Yeah, you would have.
Yeah, and obviously certain things you don't feel comfortable about speaking to your loved ones to, right?
Especially gets to debt. People are afraid and most of the time ashamed, to mention stuff like debt or the fact that they're struggling with certain areas of their finances and stuff like that. And I think it is understandable.
Yeah.
But if you want a successful marriage, it's something you have to discuss from the get-go.
Absolutely. Apologies there, Daniil. I just assumed, given the spelling of your name, I just reassigned you a different name there for our conversation. Apologies for that. But you're right, though. It is important to have this conversation early on. And I think maybe, JP, what was the apprehension for you early on in having the conversation? Because I understand that you guys grew up in two different environments, correct? And so your approach and your understanding of money was quite different from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I grew up not having much, so when I worked really, really hard to get where I were at that point where I was, at a young age, I made quite a decent salary, and unfortunately with money you can make more debt, and I just not having much growing up, I just wanted to feel what it felt like, you feel like what it would have felt like if I had all of these things. So it was just a snowballing effect, and there was debt and all of this, and I know in the beginning, just small talk between myself and Daniil. One of the things she mentioned was debt. It's something that she grew up in a household where finances were discussed, and this is how you need to do it, and all of those things. So that's why I was so afraid of telling her. I was afraid that, look, I really wanted to marry this beautiful woman, and I was just afraid she would say, that would have been a deterrent, and said, what, no, not now. So I had to make a plan. So basically didn't say anything.
And I think a lot of people probably err on the side of JP in this conversation, where not only is it awkward, but also you fear judgment if you've made some bad decisions, that you'd rather not open that can of worms.
It's so true, but I also feel like if you're in this marriage for money, obviously you're definitely not there for the right reasons. And that shouldn't be your deciding factor. I think we got married really, really young. I was 22 at that stage, and JP was 27. And now it's 12 years later. Looking back, we grew up together, and we grew financially together as well. I remember our very small little house when we started out, and when JP initially told me about his debt and how we figured out, okay, how are we going to pay this off, and it became teamwork together to say, okay, listen, you made a few mistakes growing up. Let's fix it. Let's do this together. And I think it's so possible, even for the listeners, to realize that there is no point where you can say, okay, well, this is the point of no return. I'm giving up completely. There's always a way to make it work, to work through the debt, to make your finances look better.
I like that advice because I think it also speaks to, the sense of why we are in this relationship to begin with, as you said, interrogating that at the very onset. And I think these hard conversations help us do exactly that. 086 000 2032 is the number you can call us on. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this conversation. Is all fair in love and finance? And the question to you is, how comfortable are you and your partner in talking about money? It'd be interesting to know if it gets easier the older you get, the longer you've been together, particularly for those who've been in long-term marriages and long-term relationships. Does it get easier, or maybe because people evolve and so it's consistently changing this topic and how you approach it? Or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp voice note. Let's take a quick break here and then we'll come back and continue our conversation.
Aston Villa have found comfort on the top half and they want maximum points to retain their decent position.
Put it back, and this time, Guardiola is on! The equaliser belongs to Aston Villa!
Yet the Bees want to cause havoc and deprive the Villains by registering an away victory.
Wissart tried one of them in the first half, he's finished it in the second, and Brentford have turned this round.
This is the Premier League. Catch the exciting clash between Aston Villa FC and Brentford FC on Saturday, 6 April at 3 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Industrial Development Corporation, IDC, believes in the power of transformation and driving sustainable economic growth. We're not just financiers. We're architects of opportunity and partners in shaping our communities for a shared, brighter tomorrow. Our mandate for inclusivity in the economy is the reason we fund Black industrialists, Black-owned companies, women, and youth-empowered enterprises. Speak to us for tailored funding support and let us catalyze industries and create jobs together. The IDC.
You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are in conversation with a couple, influencer couple, Danelle and JP Jean-Pierre Steenvaart, and we're talking around is all fair in love and finance, and how comfortable are you and your partner in talking about money? We'd love to hear, your perspective on this. How comfortable are you within the confines of your personal relationship? On 086 000 2032 is the number you can call us on, or 061 410 4107. And you alluded to it, JP, the fact that you grew up having a different sort of relationship with money, which was fundamentally different from Danelle's relationship with money. And do you think this oftentimes speaks also to the preconceived notions around money that people bring into their relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also like when you grow up differently, you've got different sets of ideas. You get married and you have an expectation. And it will be, I think you forget that with that expectation comes money. And you don't ever think about that. When you fall in love with somebody, you don't really think about the financial part of marriage. I think especially when you are madly in love, I don't think you think straight at that stage. But I do think as you grow older, you do realize the importance of those conversations. And talking about your frame of reference. How did I grow up?
Yeah.
What am I used to? How are we going to change a few things?
So important, that frame of reference. And because also the frame of reference, Danelle, speaks to perhaps maybe just the challenges and the obstacles that couples would face when tackling their strategies around money. And talk to me about what was the biggest challenges for you guys as individuals and then coming together as a couple collective?
Yeah, I think that was the challenge, right? So you've got your individual goals and mindset, and I think the big mind shift has to happen or happened when the big aha moment when we sat down and said, look, we are not individuals anymore. We are a unit, right? So our targets, our goals, everything needs to change. So we had to basically scrap, obviously keep it in the back of your mind, but basically scrap all your goals and mindsets and just realign as a unit. And once we did that, I think everything just, was so much clearer. We had set goals, and we worked really hard to achieve those specific goals as a couple.
Yes, I have to add to that as well. Because I started my own business just as we got married, we realized the importance of knowing, like, this is our budget and we have to stick to it. Because, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, if you start out a business, it's not all fun and games. It's hard. You don't have a salary for like the first, I almost want to say 3 years. And it's tough, So we really had to sit down and budget everything perfectly.
Yeah. Was there pressure to also, especially for JP, who sounds like he was quite the spender once he got into into some decent money? Was there also a sort of a challenge or a consciousness? Or maybe the word I'm looking for is pressure to consistently get it correct. Or did you leave room for, we're going to stumble from time to time and it's okay as long as we work ourselves back on track and work ourselves back to the goal and the focus?
Absolutely. No, look, you have to. Look, we all only human. There are going to be times where you will stumble, where you want that pretty little thing that you didn't really budget for this month. So yes, definitely, you have to have that little room for error. I think that's just smart, just to take the humanly factor out of it.
I think also we to this day still fail at perfectly keeping the budget all the time. Because we both actually love spending and we love traveling. So there are moments where we go, you know what, this month let's forget about the budget just for 1 month, and then next month you try a little bit harder. I think we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves, and you need to enjoy life, and it needs to be like, you need to be able to consistently keep at it. If you make it impossible, you're going to give up halfway through.
Yeah, it needs to be sustainable, and obviously your situation change. I mean, if you we actually fortunate enough to have adopted a little girl, and I mean, that is a major thing that happened in our lives. So we need to reassess, financially, sit down and say, listen, this is the impact, right? So what do we need to do to still achieve our goals, our 5-year goal, our 10-year goal, even with this life-changing event happening?
And does this take away from, because then, there's always people who go, but now are we sitting and am I, printing out all my bank statements for you? And you now get to know exactly how much the SABC is paying me, right down to the last cent, and what I'm getting for campaigns. Does it need to be honest at that level, or does it depend on if we are married, then it's honesty at that level?
This is such a hilarious question, because we struggled with this. Like, most of our fights in our first year of marriage was these kind of fights,
Yeah.
I think if you are not married, it probably depends on your type of relationship. It's 2024. Some people they'll probably never get married. But I mean, if you are in a serious relationship, then I feel like if you are sharing your life with each other, then you should be sharing everything.
Yeah.
Look, honesty is key. And I mean, I'm not only talking in a relationship, I'm not only talking about finances. Obviously, that's a very important part of it. But honesty is key. If there's no honesty, what are the chances of that relationship lasting? Right? In 5, 10, 15 years' time, that's whatever was hidden will come into the light, and it's just going to be problems.
Yeah.
So yes, it's really important. I think honesty is the key word. If you're really serious about that relationship, that specific relationship, I think honesty. Look, there's going to be fights. If you're honest with a person, but I would rather have a fight based on honesty than a fight based on a lie.
Yeah, JP, some guys are listening to us right now. You know, there's a guy that's about to jump into a meeting, and he's like, "No, JP, you're leading us astray now." you know how guys always go, "She doesn't need to know everything." Some things are better left unsaid.
You know what I think? It's probably true, but I think two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're sitting with a situation in your marriage, it's so much better to be able to go, listen, babe, how are we going to fix this? But then you also need to ask yourself, are we a true team? Are we fighting for each other, or are we fighting against each other? And if you're fighting for that person, you're going to do everything you possibly can to help, to assist him to, get everything back on track.
Yeah.
If there is a problem. If there's a problem.
It makes perfect sense to me. And you see what I love about this duo is that I literally threw JP under the gender bus, and Danelle rose to the occasion to say, not my man. 086 000 2032 is the number. Michael, I see you out in Gups, and then we're going to get you on the line, call you right back. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through your voice note. We are in conversation today with couple Danelle and JP Steenvaart, and we're talking around are all things fair in love and finance? How honest are you with your partner about your finances, and is it a conversation that you find difficult getting into? As we've heard from our couple, that at the beginning it was a bit tricky, it was a bit difficult because their spending habits were completely different, and their relationship with money was completely different, and there were some fights along the way, and probably still one or two fights from time to time, but for as long as you keep on track and you keep focus on what the ultimate goal is. And we'd love to hear your perspective and your personal experience on this. And Musa is standing by with the headline news.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Bridget. In the headlines, the DA says it has won its bid to have the ANC and its Secretary General found in contempt of the February 2023 court ruling that ordered it to hand over its full cadre deployment records dating back to January 2013 to the DA. Umkhonto weSizwe member Visvin Reddy has appeared in the Chatsworth Magistrates Court in Durban on charges of inciting public violence. It's alleged Reddy made inflammatory remarks during a party rally last month. And North Korea says it has successfully tested a new mid-range missile. It says that's capable of striking US bases in the Pacific Ocean as well as Japan and South Korea. I'll have details on these and other stories at 3.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
It is the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM, leading the conversation. 06141041007 is our WhatsApp line. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. And of course, we are live streaming every single day, as we always do, and that handle is at SAFM Radio. Michael in PE, how are you? Are you good?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fantastic. Michael, I know you always have an interesting perspective. Go ahead.
Look, it's funny you say that. Money is not everything, but everything requires money, right? Yeah. So when you're, whether you're married or especially if you're married, I think money and mental health. These two things must be topics that must be discussed all the time. They must be primary, and then the rest must be secondary, because money can bring a whole lot of misunderstandings and issues and arguments. So I think it must be spoken about. If one doesn't have one, if you can't tell your wife that, hey, look, I really don't have money, then you've married the wrong woman, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. We got a message here from Adhira Singh in PMB, Pietermaritzburg. Great topics, as always. I'm married 40 years. My hubby never asked to see my payslip, not once. Although I used to see his whenever the need arose. Wow! But it was never a problem in our home. I run the home as he's a long-distance driver, so I manage everything. He even leaves his bank card at home, and I transfer money for him always. It's never been an issue. And here is saying, you are living my best life. Full access. I love it.
I love it. It reminds me of my money's my money and your money's my money too.
Absolutely. I subscribe to that philosophy.
It's so funny because life changes. Being married now more than a decade, I've now become the spender, and JP is actually now transferring into my account weekly. So all of our money go into one account, and then he gives me like a budget to spend weekly, because now I actually struggle to keep to the budget, and he's way better. So it just shows you, like, people change, the season that you're in changes, and you also just need to adapt.
Absolutely. I'm old school like that. It's my money, and then your money is our money. Thandi in Welcome, how are you?
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Go ahead.
The topic today, I always listen to you, but the topic is just touching me in a different way.
Okay. I'm
married for the second time. My husband passed on the previous one. And we never discussed, it's been 2 years now in my new marriage. We've never discussed finances, and I've always felt like we needed to discuss it, but we'd never come around until we find ourselves in 350 debt owed to one of the metro municipalities. My current husband bought a property with an ex-girlfriend whom he was dating, and the relationship ended in 2012. Never cut the ties off, and there was an illegal connection, which now made me one of the respondents, because we owe this municipality 300,000, and the girlfriend is saying, I'm not leaving the house. In fact, if you want us to leave the house, you have to divorce me because I'm your wife. So for me, it really sends bad vibes, because it's my nightmare. Finances are my nightmare.
Oh my God, Thandi, I'm so sorry for the experience. I mean, and also it sounds like there's so much more going on there from just illegally protecting yourself. And we've had these conversations. Thank you for sharing, Thandi. We've had these conversations last year around, when you get into relationships, just the honesty of the situations, because relationships are also so fluid these days. The honesty of the situations in and around you guys, if there's lingering things, and if you get into marriage, also understanding the legal components of the various marital contracts that are available to you in accordance to the South African laws, just to better protect yourself. Can we get out of this habit as women of getting into marriages before we've looked at the legalese of marriage? So important. I don't know how many lawyers we've had on the show that keep emphasizing this to women, because then you end up in a situation where you are now bound and financially tied to somebody, and their debt is your debt, and oh my God, it just sounds like a nightmare. So sorry, Thandi, but thank you for sharing. Let's go to WhatsApp and continue with your thoughts.
Good afternoon, Bridget. I've been married for 20 years now, and my wife and I both work. But I can tell you now, this financial system that works is customized for that specific family and circumstances. For me, it works well when my money is our money and her money is her money. It just brings more peace, more comfort, and I think more importantly, in the black community, you as a boy child, you're raised to be that provider, and it makes you feel better if you're able to take care of your business. So yeah, it works well for me, and I'm not complaining. Yes, we do have engagements in terms of how to spend money, but mostly my money, which is okay. Kanyan in Middleburg.
Hey, good day, Bridget. No, nice topic. This is Ntlanhla. No, well, I'm from the old school, whereby the man provides, even though my wife is working, but I've never shared anything with my wife in terms of finance. But whenever she's asking for money or she want to do that, yes, she get the money that she wants. So, JP, don't put us under the bus, please, man.
JP, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you your agenda's going to come to you and say, JP, why are you now, why are you opening up this can of worms and talking about we need to share and be honest? But it's interesting also because I think sometimes it's also a generational thing and at times even maybe a cultural thing, as we heard Ntlanhla, who sounds like he's from a different generation from you, probably like more closer to your dad's age, and coming from a more traditional African background where a man is a provider, you can dip into his money as and when you want, but whether or not he's going to disclose to you exactly how much that is might be a bit tricky.
No, look, exactly. Look, it all depends. It all depends on there's various factors that'll obviously affect the way that you plan certain goals. Just to name a few. It is definitely a generational thing. It could be cultural. Look, at the end of the day, if you earn enough to, like you guys say, perfect world. If you earn enough to so that your wife can spend her money as and if she pleases, and you can handle everything else, great. That is
Life's too expensive these days.
That's exactly my point. So these days, if you obviously you work towards a certain lifestyle. If that's one of your goals, if you want to get your children through university, at the time they finish school, you want to buy them a car, you want to buy them a house. If those are your goals, it is really in this specific financial climate we're currently living in, it is really difficult to do with one income, essentially.
Absolutely. Ntlanhla out in Mpumalanga, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my sister?
I'm good, Buti. Go ahead.
Actually, me and my partner,
yes,
we don't do the 50-50. We do the 100%.
Okay, what does that mean?
Before we got to married, we sat down. She got full access to my account. She's working. I'm also working. She can utilize my money at any time, as long as she will just inform me that I did 1, 2, 3. Because it only gives you peace. There is no conflict in terms you were having this kind of amount. Where is it now? But you are always in peace when it comes to financial, because she's always aware how much do we have in the house. If she decides to spend the money otherwise along the month, she can't complain to me because she's aware that she's the one who decided to spend the money.
I love it. So the honesty comes with I'll be honest, it's 100%. You have, you can see everything, but you are the household manager. So if you mismanage, you only have but yourself to blame.
Yes.
I'm here for Ntlanhla. Thank you for sharing, Ntlanhla. And interestingly enough, as we prepare to wind down our conversation, I'm also thinking, JP, what you touched on in terms of, given the current economic landscape, one salary is not enough. The dual salary household is ideal for everybody right now, I think. And I'm thinking about, Susie Osman, the author and financial advisor, would often speak around the themes of, yes, you must be honest. You must be brutally honest about where you stand, as we said at the beginning of our conversation, where you stand entering the relationship. Be equally honest about the goals, that must be achieved within the relationship for the collective, but also as individuals. Danal wants to open a store, a new business, you want to do, but as a collective, we also have joint goals. And Susie said, sometimes, and I remember years ago, she gave the advice that saying, going 100% doesn't always have to look as if you giving 100 and I'm giving 100. It's about also coming together and seeing, Wuti, what percentage scale would work for this relationship. If you earn 100 and I earn 100, I'll give 40, I'll give 60, and then together we've got the 100% that we require.
Definitely. I totally agree with you on that. My salary definitely fluctuates from month to month. Some months it's incredible. Other months it's a little bit scary. And where JP has a more consistent income. So for us to be able to go, you give 50%, I give 50%, that would never work. And again, that honesty element plays such a big role in our marriage.
Guys, I think you've definitely given us a lot of good advice and good tools to take forth into our relationships, and we appreciate y'all having this honest but light-hearted conversation with us about a very serious topic. That was Danal and JP Steenvaart, husband and wife duo out there living their best lives and helping us navigate a very tricky conversation around love and finance. Let's take a quick break, and then Ashraf is going to come through and tell us what's coming up today on the Pulse of the Nation.
SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes.
Why do you believe each municipal manager should be given a bodyguard?
The environment, Stephen, for us as municipal managers or senior managers is not conducive. The decisions that we take time to time, maybe regarding procurement, will invite unnecessary incidents in municipalities. We are making this call because we have buried a number of members of the institute, municipal managers, CFOs, and other senior managers. The conditions demand that we must make this call.
Just shows you how serious the situation is. Maxim Billy's the president of the Institute for Local Government Management.
SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes, 6 to 9 a.m. You're listening to Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
My tech team today is so strict. How are you doing, Ashraf? How was the first day?
Well, it was fine. I think, let me put it this way. I mean, obviously, you're going to get used to it, and there's certain systems that are different.
Yes.
But I think for me, the on-air energy was what I wanted, so I went home. Sometimes you go, it's like, actually, that's fine. That's
fantastic.
Thumbs up. So I was very happy.
So you give yourself and the listener a gold star for first day well done.
Well,
I love it. All right, what's coming up today?
Well, interesting things. First of all, Tebe Kalafeng, who's this brand guru legend. He's been given a doctorate by UJ for his work in the marketing branding space. He'll be our guest around 5:20. Do not miss that because Tebe talks a hell of a lot.
He does.
He's going to say a lot of things, so we'll talk about that. The SANDF, the Defence Force, well, they've said that claims that their soldiers in the DRC, surrendered, that's fake news according to them. We'll talk about that. And this is a really important one. Doctors in KZN, they're protesting tonight. Bit of a vigil all night, and the reason is because they can't get jobs. Now, if medical doctors cannot get jobs, there's something wrong with our system.
Yeah.
And we must talk about that, and linked to that possibly is a discussion on political funding and the influence of political funding with regard to the election. Very important. All of that coming up 3 to 6.
Lovely stuff. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
That is Ashraf at 3 to 6 this afternoon. You can catch him right here on SAFM leading the conversation. Ashraf Gade back with us once again, bringing you the pulse of the nation.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365, Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Unforgettable happens when the young and the old know they can surf, snorkel, fish, enjoy whale watching, and end the day with sundowners Neshisanyama. KwaZulu-Natal is a jewel waiting to happen. Ziyakhipha. With hiking, horse riding, biking, ziplining, and mountain biking adventures waiting for the fearless and the bold. Unforgettable happens here. Zwagala. Brought to you by Tourism KwaZulu-Natal. Masanda wanna trust their creativity to ensure Yanga gets nothing from Mzansi's capital city. But the gentlemen from the east want to leave Kabuyelo in tears. This is the second leg quarterfinal battle of the CAF Champions League. Experience Africa's beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns versus Young Africans on Friday, 5 April at 8 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
Concluding our show this afternoon, catching up with Tabi Tabi, who is the Granville Energy's CEO. Solar company is planning on introducing the load shedding solutions for underserviced communities. And we know the current power supply crisis is offering significant business opportunities for suppliers of solar and battery-based systems to lower income township markets across South Africa, who for a while had gone underserviced, and Tabi Tabi is going to clue us in on that. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, Bridget. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Cannot complain at all. We've been talking, around issues of Eskom and everybody trying to figure out how to work around the current crises. But I think a lot of times when we have this conversation, we probably really, when we talk about alternative energy, we're really talking to the upper to middle income middle to upper income households, and not necessarily targeting the conversation towards the lower income, specifically township households.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and why is that so? Why are we really considering, I would venture to think, that they are the biggest demographic in the country? Why are we not including them in conversations and including them in what solutions might look like?
Well, it is interesting, Bridget. They say that, they talk about us, but not with us. So you're never at the table. And when the president tried last year to provide funding for small businesses in the township, he was trying to speak to this problem. Unfortunately, we don't have representation of the township or in the lower income communities, not just township, but lower income communities at the table where these conversations are had. And also have the means and the solutions, do not see the lower income communities as being economically viable, be able to afford to pay for the services. So it's up to the government or incumbent service provider to do that until we showed up as Granville Energy.
You argue, though, that the time has arrived to offer these markets innovative and cost-effective electricity solutions.
Absolutely, Bridget. And I think it's not just cost-effective, it should also be impactful, right? Because one of the challenges that this community face, like I said earlier on, is economic viability. As a service provider, you want to go into a market where people can afford to pay for your services, right? But how do we help them be sustainable over long term. So we ensure as Granville that we're not just going there to provide access to electricity, but also will bring impact that will create sustainable jobs so people can afford to pay for not just our services, but also other services. By doing that, we help to jumpstart what I would like to call the township economy or the lower income economy, which is very essential.
Yeah, indeed, an essential and significant, contributor to the overall economy of the country. So how are you guys proposing to do that at Granville Energies?
Well, it is interesting because Granville Energy started engaging with the communities during load shedding. When COVID started in 2020, we went out to the field, spent time in Kaplahong, in Everton, in Orange Farm. We went to some townships where there's no electricity at all to understand the impact so that we could help design the right product and services for this community. We believe in innovation, and open innovation requires that we invite the end customer to partner with us in the process of designing or looking for the right product. So we realized that one size will not fit all in this case, right? So, for instance, the products that you find in the market right now that you and I can afford to buy will not be suitable for the township or for some of the low-income communities, even outside the township environment, in the rural areas. We also realized that you have communities that have high population density. We had to design a different product that will ensure that you as an end customer will not have to bear the burden, of course, when it comes to the capital that you have to lay out, so the money you have to pay to acquire alternatives to ESCOM. So we basically came up with a micro or mini grid concept. We make the investment as Granville Energy, and we'll provide electricity to the owners, to the homeowners or the residents through a prepaid platform, which we own as well. So that way we reduce the barrier to entry and we make access available to more people, which is actually our vision as Granville for the entire continent.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about, your product offering. Are you already piloting something in certain communities?
Yes, we've identified a community. We had community engagement multiple times. We've also identified some homeowners who have put their names down to join this pilot project. We're looking at 100 homes. We want to start small and scale into 100 homes to understand the dynamics, how we can offer affordability, even though they've told us how much you can afford to pay. We want to roll out and then earn out the kinks from the process. And after that, we're going to roll out to about 1 million homes in the country.
And from an affordability perspective, Tabi, talk to us about that, because, it is very expensive to look into alternative power resources. And how do we then make it affordable given just sort of the average household income at the lower income community level?
Absolutely. I mean, Bridget, this point is so critical, not just for South Africa, for the entire continent. Because wherever we go or we get called to participate in looking for a solution, we see that affordability is a problem. The way we've done it is by involving the community, also by controlling our value chain and our supply chain. As Granville Energy, we also manufacture our own components so we can reduce costs. The solution will move from Granville straight to the customer with no middleman. We don't have people who resell the products to these communities and thereby increasing the cost. Labor will come from the community. So we will employ people from the community to get involved in the deployment of this project and the systems and services. Maintenance and ongoing service delivery will come from the community as well. So we understand the dynamics, and therefore we use resources from the community to bring down our costs and improve affordability.
And when you talk of labor and support coming from community, I think this also speaks to plowing back into the very same, informal, well, I don't want to say informal, but into the very same township economy that we spoke about, rather.
Absolutely. I mean, one interesting point that I always get asked is, what are you going to do about security? So, well, which security? Oh, won't they steal the panels? Won't they steal the inverters? I say, they're not going to steal it because this is a community project. The system to implement as Granville is done in partnership with the community. They see this as their solution. They own it and they protect it. So we don't have any security concerns. But also the involvement, the impact goes beyond just electricity. The mom who wants to run a spaza shop can now have electricity to extend the business hours into nighttime. And we have other things that we're going to add value, that we're going to add to the community. For instance, having street lights so that we can light up the streets at night to improve security. I don't want to get into a lot of detail, but the impact goes way beyond electricity.
Absolutely. Tabby, we've run out of time, but we got to the complete context of, this incredible rollout project. And I think definitely underserviced communities, it's about time that they get considered into, get considered in as far as solutions that are being presented when it comes to this energy crisis. And that is how we wrap up the show this afternoon from myself and my team. It's time for us to Heedway, is it Heedway? Yes. Sesiyaphela isingisi phela. Ngo-3 sithi bye-bye. It's time for us to make way for... Thank you so much, Tabi.
No, thank you. Thanks for the competition. Necessary.
Awesome. It's time for us to make way for Ashraf Gada and his team. They are taking over, bringing you the National Pulse. No, ngempela sesiphelile isingisi, bathi kuthiwa yini, i-token yakho when you're playing a game, i-token yakho isiphelile, isikhathi sakho sesiphelile. So bonana kusasa. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for always choosing to be in conversation with us and for sharing your views and perspective as well as your own personal experiences for some of our conversations. We absolutely appreciate always having you in conversation and, having you choose us time and time again. We'll see you tomorrow for more of the same as we prepare to slowly start winding down the week. By the way, Friday, we've got a very exciting Friday, but I don't want to say anything as yet just in case I jinx it. But Friday is going to be star-studded, is all I'm saying, on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za.
In our top stories, latest development on DA's ANC cadre deployment challenge and MK party member appears in court. Good afternoon. The DA says it has won its bid to have the ANC and its Secretary-General found in contempt of the February 2023 court ruling that ordered it to hand over its full cadre deployment records dating back to January 2013 to the DA. The DA's Leon Schreiber told SABC News the judgment was handed down today in the Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg, with the written judgment to follow. Schreiber says the ANC has 15 days to hand over all unredacted records